Welcome to the Mary Mac Show, where we will be talking about your feelings, experiences, and pain following the death of a loved one. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you find yourself in this entire world, I welcome you. Thank you, my warrior, for being with me today. I certainly hope you're doing much better. This is Mary Mac of the Mary Mac Show, and I'm speaking to you today about something that I've learned in the last day or so about an incredible family who is in India, in Delhi. And many years ago, back in 1997, both of their children were killed in a horrific cinema fire. And the son was 13 and their daughter was 17. And this family, these parents, have been on a roller coaster of a life for the last 25 years, trying to seek justice for the killing, yes, killing, of their two children. But what makes it even more horrendous is that 59 other people were killed that day, and 103 of them, additional 103, were injured. So there were many more families who were also going through the same pain that they were, except they were the ones who decided they were going to seek justice. And eventually, they all came together because they learned that power is in numbers. And I was so glad to have learned that. I've done some research on this because I was amazed at what this poor family has gone through for the last 25 years, trying to get justice for their two children and to help all the other families who also were looking for justice for their family members. I want so much to say their names, but truthfully, I'm afraid I might just botch the names. So I just want you to know that several years ago, the father created a book that was published by Penguin, and it's called Trial by Fire. And now, this past week, on January 13th, this was moved into a movie. Excuse me, I take that back. It was moved into a series on Netflix. It's 7 episodes. And in the show notes, I will put the trailer rather, so that you can see the background and the story about these wonderful people who are still, after all this time, a quarter century later, trying to get justice. The sad fact is that these doors were locked from the outside. So when the fire erupted, people could not get out. And that is the central tragedy of this for these families. And worse, the corruption that goes all the way around will not find fault with the people who owned this theater. All they have is a judgment, giving so much money to the local community to build a trauma center. That's crazy. That's crazy. And the reason that I want you to see this all around the world, it's on Netflix and it's called Trial by Fire. And the reason I want you to see this is because my former husband and I went through something very similar. Back in 1984, in July 17th, 1984, his 11-year-old daughter was murdered. And it took us 18 years to solve that crime. We had 3 top suspects, but we couldn't prove it. And no matter how much we did, no matter how many groups we attended the local Parents of Murdered Children group. And I wrote newsletters, and we were such active participants in the group to help other people who came after us. And I've never regretted that, because that gave us leverage. We got to meet with politicians. We got to meet with police. We were able to push the homicide detectives further. We put up posters. We did everything we knew how to do. We got friends that we went to trials with to help them with their murders of their children. And so I have a really soft spot for this family. And I want them to get justice. They deserve it. They deserve it after all this time. And I am certainly hoping that if enough people watch this all around the world on Netflix, this 7-episode series called Trial by Fire, I certainly hope this pushes the Indian government to do the right thing for every one of those families who lost loved ones in that fire. To have this go on for so long and there's no conviction is absolutely asinine. Those people were responsible. Their names are Ansel. There are 2 people, 2 men. And the interesting thing to me that was actually laughable, last week, 2 days or 3 days before the series was to be put up on Netflix, these people actually tried to get an injunction to stop it from airing simply because they said their personality would be harmed by this. Well, if you had done the responsible thing originally and not locked the doors from the outside when tragedy struck, all the people would have been able to get out. But you didn't do that for whatever reason. And we may never know what that reason is. But the fact remains that you did not do the right thing. And hundreds of families are hurting because of you. Because of you. So for us, it took 18 years just to get the guy arrested, and another 2.5 to go to trial. And he only received, thank God he was convicted, but he was convicted as a juvenile because in New York state law here in the United States, he wasn't considered an adult. He was considered a child. So he was sentenced as a child because it's when the person committed the crime instead of when they were convicted. And that doesn't sit well either for us. And so he was only convicted of 9 years to life. That was back in 2004. And so last year, he was released. He was released after serving 18 years. So much for the life part. So I stand with this wonderful family. I stand with them because we have an awful lot of people in India who listen to the Mary Max show every week. And it's our way of remembering two wonderful children who none of us may have ever known. But it doesn't matter because their family's looking for justice and we stand with them. So to this wonderful family, to all the actors who did such a phenomenal job on this series, such a touching and also very traumatic series. But when you watch it, if you find yourself upset, just think what it would be like if you actually lived that. Because we have, in a little bit different way, our child. She will not be with us again. Their children will never be with them again. And they need to live the rest of their life like we did, trying to make sense of it all, as well as to try to get justice and convict the people who were the cause of this. I wish this wonderful family well. And I ask you, please go to Netflix and watch Trial by Fire. It's a 7-episode series, a 7-episode series. And I believe it will really make you understand how difficult dealing with the death of children can be, especially when it was so violent and so sudden. And the last time this family saw their children was when they went off to just innocently see a movie and never came home. So I'm sending our love and hugs from all of us around the world who listens to the Mary Max show. I'm asking you to see Trial by Fire on Netflix. Give it thumbs up. Write in the comments section what you thought of it and send your very best wishes to everyone involved, from the actors to the producers, director, to the Netflix team who gave this a thumbs up. I thank you personally for that. And to this family, we're sending our love. You've done a marvelous job. First with the book that was picked up by Penguin, and now with the Netflix series. You did an awful lot of work to get the world to see this. And I hope this little bit of my part will help as well. God bless you all.